All right.
Also, any
Go.
undercard questions we'll get to at the end. We got to get to Bam versus Estrada.
Yes. All right. So, straight up on the money line, the most disrespectful line I have seen in a very, very long time. They got Jesse Bam Rodriguez as a minus 480 and Juan Francisco Estrada El Gallo as a plus 350. Bryan, seeing this line
Don't
gets
like
me
it.
heated.
Don't
This
like it.
is crazy disrespectful. Do you feel like Estrada has a chance? Because Vegas is thinking right now that he does not have a chance in this fight.
Yeah, I don't like this line at all. At the same time, I think Bam Rodriguez is likelier to win this fight, as the minus 480 would imply. But like, come on, man. Like Estrada's really good. He's the champion. He's the lineal champion in his weight class. Like he's the Ring Magazine champion. The difficult thing here is that he's 10 years older. We all think Bam Rodriguez is going to be a superstar. He's sort of on that trajectory, though imperfect, but like he looks like somebody who's going to be tough, 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 tough to beat. And Juan Francisco Estrada beat Chocolatito twice. His other signature wins en route to just being a champion has 13 world title fights, knockouts in 6 of them. The difficult thing is the 10 years age gap. He's 34, Bam Rodriguez 24, and also year and a half away from the ring. And that is tough as you settle into your mid 30s. So to me, I still think that plus 350 is very tempting on somebody that good. But Bam Rodriguez was originally the champion, the same title, WBC super flyweight title, was the champion in this weight class, moved down to flyweight. Now he's back up. So you would think that Bam Rodriguez would be able to navigate that. But God, this is such a great fight that I'm disappointed to see the line be like, have this level of disparity. You get what I'm saying?
It makes me mad because this is El Gallo. His name is El Gallo, and we're going to give him a plus 350 odds to win on the money line. I hate it. I think what Juan Francisco Estrada has done in this weight class speaks for itself. I mean, you talk about those wars that he's been in with Chocolatito, one of my favorite boxers of all time. His resume speaks for himself. He's one of the best boxers in this division, and he's one of the best boxers to ever fight in this division as well. So to see this line against a very young Bam Rodriguez that doesn't have the experience that Juan Francisco Estrada does, I look at this line and I'm like, I know how I'm going to bet, and we'll get to my bet in just a moment, but I'm looking at that line and I'm like, plus 350, I would put money on El Gallo for being plus 350 just because the odds are so juiced. But Bryan, how are you going to be betting this fight, and which way are you leaning?
All that being said, I'm taking Bam Rodriguez to win this fight. Because the age, the layoff, I mean, he just beat the shit out of Sonny Edwards 6 months ago. And we're talking about him having been in the ring a year more recent than Juan Francisco Estrada. So to me, Bam Rodriguez wins this fight by decision is where I place it. Plus 125 is where I found it. I saw plus 110, obviously plus 125 better value. But Bam Rodriguez, I think he has power, but 5-0 with 2 knockouts in world title fights. I don't think it kind of like we were talking about this, and he's pound for pound better than the person I'm about to mention. But I think people want, for example, Xander Zayas to be this big puncher, where I'm like, he's an all around really good boxer, doesn't have a ton of weaknesses, if any at all, and is also really young. And if he's going to knock out guys, it's going to be more so an accumulation of punishment. I feel like Bam Rodriguez is a version of that. Also, the other difficult thing is he got to the world title picture very early in his career. It was like 14, 15 fights, which is to say, it's hard to knock dudes out continuously when you're constantly in world title fights because you're fighting elite competition, fight in and fight out. And Juan Francisco Estrada has 3 losses. He's never been knocked out before. I don't think Bam Rodriguez is going to be the first, but it's entirely possible that it is because of the layoff, the age, and things of that nature. And Bam he's good enough to have one of those super special performances where it's like, oh shit, he put it all together. He stopped the lineal champion. He did it in, I don't know, the 9th, 10th, or 11th round. Like he did it late in the fight. Like there's a part of me that wants to take a shot And still, I might at Bam getting the stoppage, particularly between rounds like 9 through 12, because you get some good plus money there. I may take a little shot at that, just as a sprinkle. But my safest play is Bam to win by decision. And I don't think it's going to be a super wide decision either. I think Estrada's going to get some rounds. I think, we were talking about this before. We both agreed that 116, 112 range. Maybe there's a knockdown. I'd be interested in betting over half a knockdown in this fight just because of the volume we're going to get. But I think Bam wins this fight. And I think he is going to be like continually somebody we discuss in pound for pound lists for years to come.
So when we did a draft, Bam Rodriguez was someone I selected pretty early in that draft. I'm really high on him, but I think this is a fight that's going to be extremely tough for him because despite the fact of El Gallo having such a long layoff, once he gets into a rhythm and he gets into a flow, he is extremely tough. I think this is going to be an all-out war. We're going to see like over 1,500 punches thrown. I don't know what the number is going to be, but it's going to be crazy. Like, this is going to be an all-out battle, and I think that some rounds are going to go to Estrada, some rounds are going to go to Bam. Here's the thing. Juan Francisco Estrada is older now, but when we talk about power, Bam does have power, but he hasn't been knocking dudes out left, right, and center. He doesn't have to, but I do think when it comes to power, and Bryan, I think Chocolatito had more power than Bam.
I probably agree with that.
Yeah. So, yeah, and he wasn't able to knock out Juan Francisco Estrada, even though El Gallo's older now. So when I take a look at this fight, I think it's going to be an all-out war. I think there's going to be over 1,500 punches thrown. I think these guys are going to be in a battle back and forth. We're going to see them trade. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I can't wait. I can't wait till it's Saturday. I wish I could go to sleep right now and wake up tomorrow and it'd be Saturday. But I think that Bam Rodriguez will win on the cards, but it's going to be pretty close. I think it's going to be 115, 113, 116, 112, as Bryan mentioned. I think it's going to be extremely close. And I think both these guys right away are going to want to get off to a good start, especially El Gallo, because he's been out of the ring for so long. So he might be a little bit hesitant where Bam might be a little bit more aggressive in the beginning, but I do think El Gallo will pick up speed. So I think Bam Rodriguez wins by decision at plus 135. But let me tell you, I'm taking a look at Juan Francisco Estrada to win by decision plus 600, and I'm probably going to place some money on there just because the odds are crazy. And we know that El Gallo has done it in this division before. He's extremely talented, no fear. I love the way he boxes, and he's got power too. He has power too. Now, a lot of people go back to that second Chocolatito fight because he won that fight by split decision. I thought Chocolatito won, but I could be biased, whatever. But he came back and then Cortez dropped him, if you remember that. I think it was in the 6th or 7th round. And everyone thought that Estrada had a really bad fight. So you know what? The layoff could be a thing in this fight. It could very well. But he also came back in his next fight and won by majority decision against Chocolatito. So I think it's one of those fights where it's going to be an all-out classic. And if it's really, really good, who knows? We might get a second one.
Yes. I haven't even seen the first fight. I want the rematch already. Because we expect it to be that good. The other interesting sprinkle, like Juan Francisco Estrada's plus 1,100 to win by knockout. Now, again, we're gonna get to a couple comments on this because people are excited about this fight, as are we. To me, this is the fight of the weekend in a lot of different ways. At least it is in boxing, and it may be across combat sports. Like, it's going to be that interesting and captivating, which is why I'm disappointed that the line is what it is, but I also kind of get it. But Estrada is plus 1,100 to win by knockout. Bam was in that plus, I want to say, almost 200 range last I checked. It's leaning towards a decision, but there are some people who are placing bets on Bam Rodriguez to win by knockout, which I don't think is going to be the case. But the over-under is also 10.5 rounds, which is telling you, hey, Vegas is like, this might be a deep waters type of fight, which is why I think if you are going to bet any knockout scenario, I would probably do it late. It's boxing. Shit happens. Guys get caught early on. But I think that 9 to 12 range is going to be captivating regardless of who you like in this fight. We seem to all like Bam here. I see people in the chat. I don't see anybody. People are giving Estrada the respect, but I don't think anybody actually thinks he's going to win this fight, which is probably why he's plus 350. But I still think he should be getting a little bit more respect. But
I'm going to bet on him, like just for fun, like $5 plus 600 to win by decision. Yeah. Why not? Like, because if Estrada wins, it's going to be by decision. I don't see him knocking out Bam Rodriguez. and the odds are just so good. So it's like I just want to. I waste $5 all the time. I could waste it on betting on El Gallo. You know what I mean?
All I'm gonna say is this does feel like I wouldn't bet a ton regardless of what you're or who you're betting on or what your bet is, just because I do think this is one of those fights where like we could have a shocking outcome. Like we could come away from this on the post fight live and be like, holy shit, I did not think there was gonna be a knockout in the 4th round. You know what I mean? Like it could be one of those.
Yeah, and it definitely could. Like Bam could impress like that, or maybe Estrada. I have a hard time believing that Estrada's gonna knock out Bam, but I do think Bam. I think there's a possibility Bam could knock out Estrada. I definitely do believe that because he's extremely talented. But as you heard right there, Bryan said it. We are doing a post-fight show, so after Teofimo Lopez and Steve Claggett, after Bam Rodriguez and Juan Francisco Estrada, we're gonna be hopping on, hanging out with you guys. We'll go over the fights. Maybe we'll even get into a little bit UFC because it'll probably still be on when we get on. But nonetheless, make sure to join us. Let's get into some comments though before we get up out of here, Bryan.
Hustle man cannot deny Bam's resume right now. Remember he beat Quadras, which fucking good win. Stopped Rung Vasai.
Yes.
Stopped Sonny. Now Estrada next. He's one of the top 5 guys fighting the best of the best. Did I have him in my pound for pound list?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you had him in your pound for pound.
We did this a while. This was like early last year.
We both mentioned him. I know I had him in my draft. That's what I do know. I had him when I drafted him, but
we'll update our pound for pound list before the end of the year anyway. We may do another draft also because that was fun, and also shit has changed since then.
Yeah, a lot has changed. So we're gonna do a draft like just before football season, I think.
Okay, so TJ, Bam's last 3 Mexicans he fought went 12. I didn't want to like sound offensive there, so I was like being careful. Estrada is the best of them. Most likely goes 12. Yeah, we're all in agreement. No, we both have Bam by decision. I also like the over. If you can get enough value there, because that shit is like creeping up on -200. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Bryan, before we get up and out of here?
XL says this is going to be the first Bam fight I catch.
Yo, XL, you're going to be impressed. This guy is and this is the best fight to watch because you're also watching Estrada. So these guys are going to be trading shots and everything. It's going to be an all-out battle for sure.
But also go back and watch his fight against Sonny Edwards. Like go watch some of the other fights that we're talking about. Bam, like he has the potential to be just one of those special dudes in these 115, 118 weight classes we're talking about. Maybe he gets to featherweight at some point down the line. We'll see. But for now, like I think flyweight, super flyweight is perfect for him.
Could you imagine in a couple of years or a few years if we ever saw it? Now I'm being crazy.
I know.
Could you imagine Bam and Inoue? Could you imagine that? That would be one hell of a fight. Bam's young right now, though. But yeah.
I mean, is that more realistic than Tank and Inoue? Probably.
Yeah. Tank's not. That's not going to happen. I don't see Inoue going up like that either.
I don't think Tank and Inoue. I don't buy that. Now here we go. Hold the fuck up. Hustle man. Bam versus Nakatani.
Yes.
Nakatani is a murderer. That dude has dynamite in his hands. Let's actually get into. Can we get into like the undercard?
Yeah, go for it.
Because well, first let's do the zone card because I was telling you, and people keep the comments going. We'll get to whatever literally you comment as we demonstrated at the top of this episode.
You got to show the stupid comments too. So
like Sonny Edwards is making his return in a tough fight against Adrian Curiel, which is I think he'll win that, but that's pretty interesting. I was telling you, I think Ramla Ali at +225 against Yamileth Mercado. Like, I don't know if she's gonna win that fight, but like
good value.
That's a lot. She has a lot of ability for somebody who's +225. I know she's gotten knocked out before, knocked out silly, but avenged that fight. Like I'd very much, and that's a world title fight, by the way. That's super bantamweight WBC. Ramla Ali is skilled. I would look at her to potentially win that fight. And somebody else asked about one of the fights on the undercard for this one. Ping It Media. Who do you think is going to win between Sean Garcia and Amado Vargas? I
I
feel
really
like,
like Amado Vargas.
yeah,
I'm
I
a
was
big
going to
fan of
say,
his.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Bryan knows the fight style that I like and some of my favorite fighters. So I'm yeah, I'm sure you're not surprised by that. I'm gonna rock with Amado Vargas. Come on.
Yeah, me also. Robesi Ramirez, somebody mentioned him too. Now that I'm looking at, and
I think
Ramirez
this is a
underbooked
very
too.
interesting fight for him.
He needs it. And Benitez is not a slouch.
Not an easy fight, but I think Ramirez does win that fight.
He better.
And I think he has to do it with style. Like, it can't be a dead performance. I think he needs one with style in this fight.
Yeah. I wonder what the move for him is. I feel like Top Rank may just position him to get a rematch, to like just get a couple tough wins and just get a rematch against Rafael Espinosa. But
I don't know if anyone wants a rematch against him. I don't know if that's a good play for him.
You know,
Espinosa is like just ridiculous. He might be my favorite fighter in that weight class now.
Elvis Rodriguez is on this card, which listen, there's some good fights on this. There's some good prospects, I should say. I don't know about good fights. There's some good prospects on this card. Emiliano Vargas, a lot of people are excited about him.
Yes.
Elvis Rodriguez is on here. Nico Ali Walsh is trying to avenge the one loss on his record. And against Sona Akale. And I mean, we'll see.
Man, you know what? I feel like for Nico Ali Walsh, for him, he has so much pressure on him, but there's so much hype on him too.
He gets hit a lot.
Like,
he has power.
Too
Don't
much.
get me wrong. He has power, but he this is how he lost that first fight. And honestly, he got another decision shortly before that where it was like, could have lost that one too. But
I feel bad for him because there's so much hype around him, and like anytime that he fights, they're always talking about the greatest boxer of all time, Ali. And it's like he has to be in that shadow, but I think there's a lot of flaws, but he's had some really good moments. But I'm excited to see him back in the ring too.
And then Jan Santana, who's Dominican, whose last bunch of fights have been in Puerto Rico, actually 11-0 with 11 knockouts. He's on the undercard. I think people should watch him because he's raw, but he's got some power. And is at super featherweight, which is a fun weight class. Look, man, we got good fights this weekend. And the Bam Rodriguez one against Juan Francisco Estrada, that's going to be the one. But there's a bunch of other like fights that have some stakes. Like, listen, man, this is one of those cards where you could look at all the prospects and be like, all right, if I take every underdog and one or two of them hit, I'll be good in terms of like financials. So I do wonder who's going to get upset, if anybody.
Yeah, agreed. And by the way, we are going to be doing a post-fight show. If you didn't hear that, we'll be rocking with you after Teofimo Lopez, Steve Claggett, after Bam Rodriguez, and Juan Francisco Estrada. I can't talk anymore. I've been talking all day. And we'll be rocking with you, not at like specifically after if one of them ends earlier. We're going to do it after the final fight is over. But we'll be rocking with you here. Maybe UFC will be on as well. But nonetheless, make sure to join us and make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you like the content. Bryan, do you have any final thoughts before we get up and out of here?
See y'all Saturday.
Okay, that was it. That's my cue to get us up and out of here, guys. Follow us at the Mandatory TKO.